but this time the shutter just isn't firing. Well, one of the biggest drawbacks to using old film cameras is their reliability, and as they get older, they're becoming more and more of a problem. So I was venturing out for the day with my Bronica SQ camera, and I was hoping for some slow, detailed shooting, but all didn't go to plan, as you'll see in this video. Well, I've come out on this fine, if somewhat chilly morning, down to one of my local beaches. This is New Brighton in northwest England, just opposite Liverpool, and there is going to be no sky today. Now, when I say no sky, obviously I don't mean there's no sky. Of course there's a sky, you can see a sky behind me, but the forecast is to have clear blue skies with no cloud, lovely bright sharp light, and that does present a problem for landscape photography. You see, the issue with empty, clear blue skies is they're boring. And a boring sky, I think, is worse than no sky at all. So it's very likely for a lot, look at the beautiful background I've got here. It's very likely that a lot of the shots I'm going to take this morning will have no sky in them, which is why I've come to this location, because there are interesting sand patterns and rock pools. There are breakwaters, and there are things where I'll have to point my camera downwards and exclude all this beautiful, bright, sunny, blue, expansive nothingness. Now, one of the interesting things about sand patterns is you do need some fairly strong side lighting to make the most of them. They're not really something that suits dull, overcast conditions. A lot of yappy dogs out this morning. It's not really something which suits those dull conditions. So with it being just about sunrise, as you can hopefully see over my shoulder, this is probably about the best time to start shooting them. See, one of the problems is it's so bright that the best angle is shooting towards the sun, and that is creating a bit of flare, so I will have to be a little bit creative, maybe get some which allow the camera to be shaded, so maybe over by these breakwaters, but I'll have a little recce and yeah, I'll get back to you. The yappy dogs have got the better of me. It's driving me mad, so I'm going to have a wander further away, over this away. And oh gosh, look at the lovely light coming up on the cranes as well. Not a phrase you hear very often in landscape photography, but yeah, they can be very beautiful things if they're photographed in the right light. As can just about anything, to be honest. Do you know, I'm already thinking this morning, I'm not really that interested in getting many shots. I'm normally quite keen on sort of getting 3 shots on the Bronica, which is what I'm shooting with this morning. But I'm already thinking, take your time, Steve. Talking to myself, obviously. Take your time, Steve. And if it means getting just 1 or 2 good shots, that's going to be adequate for me today. I'm just watching the brave swimmers as well, swimming in the Mersey. If you'd done that 50 years ago, you'd probably come out glowing with some radioactive or horrible pollutant. But these days, it's absolutely beautiful down here. It's an amazing place to be. Now that, of course, is the obvious shot. You know, a beautiful lighthouse picked out by the sun with still some cloud behind it, but I've shot it so many times before, and I'll be honest, I'm not really interested in it today. I want to get something a bit different. I want some shadows, I want some proper lighting, I want something a bit abstract, to be honest. I do love the old fort here. I mean, this is a Napoleonic fort, built for the Napoleonic Wars and finished about 10 years after Napoleon was defeated, so a bit of a folly in some ways. I mean, it had a purpose, but he never really served it. But I do like the old structures in there for holding the gun emplacements and the like. But as you can see on this quick preview, they don't work, do they? There is some potential around here. I have to be very careful while scouting it not to spoil it with my size 11s, so I'm going to have to keep away from the main subject, the pools and these little swirly patterns. I think there is a shot here, probably with the standard lens. It's a very subtle shot, and it may take some processing to bring the best out in it. I'm not talking about excessive processing, I'm just talking about a bit of extra contrast. But I think I'll set up and I will take my first one of the day. Well, sadly I'm experiencing some problems with my Bronica SQ, and as you can see I have it just down to the body now, and the problem is the shutter isn't firing. Now I've got fresh batteries in and I tested it last night before I came out. Now very often with these things you can actually put them into the multiple exposure mode, so you can operate them without a camera back or a lens on them, and that usually clears the problem and it carries on firing again. But this time the shutter just isn't firing at any speed. It's basically not operating as it would be expected to, so I may have to return to the car and have a quick play about with it. Well, sadly, after much fiddling about with the Bronica, I'm not getting any further. The shutter isn't firing. The batteries are fine. There's a little click, tiny click when I press the shutter release, and the battery indicator light is absolutely fine, but I'm getting no life out of the body whatsoever. I've removed the batteries, I've cleaned all the contacts, all the usual tips and techniques I use to free a jam or a misfire just aren't working, so I think I'm going to have to go to plan B and go out with a 35mm camera. Well, I'm back on the beach and I'm literally retracing my footsteps from before so I can get back to where I was shooting. I have the 35mm Nikon F80 in hand and I'm just, oh god, I've lost where I was now. I'll have to do some forensics by looking at my boot and trying to match the footprints, because there are other footprints here now after faffing in the car for half an hour. So yeah, just give me 5 minutes. Yeah, this is where I was. I recognise it now. Here's all my footprints. There's the composition with the sand, and because I'm working with a vibration control lens and I'm a bit cheesed off about the Bronica failing, I'm going to work handheld and I'm going to be a bit more flexible, and I'm going to take a lot more shots now as well. Well, the camera gives me great flexibility, but I will be honest, I was hoping for a slower, more considered pace today. Could have mounted it on the tripod. I don't really like working with it on a tripod. It is going to be slightly different, but it's no use crying over spilt milk. I mean, I've come out here this morning, it's a beautiful morning, and I need to get some shots, and I always carry a spare camera with me. It's just that I'm going to probably have an expensive repair bill for the old Bronica, sadly. So yes, sadly my Bronica is playing up. It has a problem with the shutter, and I confirmed this when I got home by testing it against my other Bronica camera. I took the batteries out, put them in the other Bronica, fired straight away. I tried all sorts, I cleaned the contacts, etc., and nothing. So it's going to have to go off repair as I expected. However, the trip wasn't wasted. I did manage to get some reasonable shots with the 35mm camera, although I will admit my heart wasn't really in it once the camera had played up. I was less than impressed, shall we say. My enthusiasm levels dropped, so yes, I did end up rushing some shots, not taking as long as I'd like to have, and they were okay. It was still good exercise. It was a lovely walk, lovely fresh air, and lovely morning. So there you go. It pays to be prepared, but next time I will pack my spare Bronica body with me in the car, so I could just retreat back up the beach, swap it over, and carry on shooting. But there you go. You live and learn. So thanks as ever for watching, and I'll see you again soon.